I want to say good night right now to the man himself, the man of the hour. That's the Honorable Asot Michael, the representative for St. Peter. How are you today, sir? How are you tonight, sorry?
Well, I'm not very well tonight. I'm very sad, extremely sad this evening, Sean. But thanks for having me. And a good evening to all the listeners of Radio ZDK. In Antigua and Barbuda and across the region and on the internet.
Okay, I said, Mr. Michael, the thing that everybody wants to know is that we are getting, the clips are flying all over Antigua and Barbuda. We are hearing a lot of talk about what transpired, and everybody wants to know what happened on Friday night, or Friday during a meeting. Were you allowed in? Was there a back and forth between you and the Prime Minister? What exactly took place?
Well, before I even get into that, Sean, let me just tell you why I'm so saddened today.
Okay.
You know, the Chief of Security of the Ministry of Public Works came down to my home this afternoon and told me he was looking for some government vehicles that I had in my possession. Mm-hmm. And he was instructed by his permanent secretary and the minister on the instructions of the Prime Minister to pick up the vehicles that I have.
Wow.
I said to him, but I have no government vehicles that belong to, he said, for Public Works, and he named out two vehicles. And I said, no, I don't have those. Those were returned in 2017 when the Prime Minister dismissed me from my ministerial positions.
Mm-hmm.
And then this evening, I told him, come to my home and you can see for yourself, what vehicles you're looking for. And if they're there, sure, take them.
Mm-hmm.
And he saw that there were no government vehicles that he was looking for.
Mm-hmm.
This evening I'm campaigning. I'm presently campaigning in my constituency in Fidget Creek Drive. And I'm by Mr. Denzel Warner, who sells the tools and rent tools right here on Fidget Creek Drive and Old Farm Road. Mm-hmm. And then I saw two police pickups pull up. And the same vehicle with Mr. Roberts, the Chief Security Officer for Public Works, came out. So I went out, I left Mr. Warner, I was speaking to him, and I went over and asked him, are you looking for me? What is the problem? They said they're looking for a government vehicle that I'm driving. They have instructions from the Prime Minister to pick it up. I said, well, tell the Prime Minister, send a search warrant from the magistrate. If I'm in possession of any government vehicle, I will surely return it. I don't need to drive a government vehicle. I have two Mercedes-Benz in my home, Sean.
Mm-hmm.
One a Maybach that my mom is 80 years old, does not even drive. And another one that I bought from Annie Motors.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And they're nearly brand new. Mm-hmm. Why would I want to hold on to a government vehicle that I don't own? I'm entitled to a government vehicle as a member of Parliament.
Mm-hmm.
When Dean Jonas was not even a minister back in 2014, he had 3 government vehicles.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in possession of one vehicle that does not belong to the Ministry of Public Works. It belongs to the Antigua and Barbuda Investment Authority. And Mr. Max Fernandez, Minister Fernandez, just asked me to pay the insurance for it. It was over $6,000 just 6 weeks ago, and I paid it. Mm-hmm. If they want back the vehicle, sure, they can have the vehicle. I don't need the vehicle. I can go to Hardy tomorrow and buy whatever vehicle I want,
mm-hmm.
or use whatever I have at my home. Just give me back the $6,000 that I paid to insure the government vehicle. The Antigua and Barbuda Investment Authority vehicles, no problem.
Mm-hmm.
But it shows the depth and the nastiness that our Prime Minister will stoop to send police, 2 ex-soldiers from the Defence Force, with the head of the Ministry of Public Works, to send them to my home, and then when I'm campaigning to try and embarrass me tonight. I will not be embarrassed by Gaston Brown. Absolutely not.
Mm-hmm. Now,
I just wanted to say that first, Sean, and then we can get into whatever you want to.
No, well, let's stay there for just a second or two. War, it has escalated to a level now. I think that it's gone. This is probably uncalled for, and the fact that police and military individuals, the head of security of Public Works, was sent to your home to collect.
And 2 former soldiers from the Antigua and Barbuda Defence Force.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
This afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
And the Chief of Security of Public Works. I'm some criminal. And then I'm campaigning in Fidget Creek Drive this evening next to Mr. Warner, who sells the tools and rents tools right here on Fidget Creek Drive and Old Farm Road.
Mm-hmm.
And was harassed again. And they had about 2 or 3 police pickups that accompanied them.
Now, it being like that, I guess it has passed, it has gone to a level of no return right now, Mr. Michael. I don't think most people would have thought that it would have gone this far. But the fact is that now he's making it absolutely clear and making it difficult for you and let you know that you will no longer be a part of the Antigua and Barbuda Labour Party. Is that where we are right now?
Well, that's where he is. But he didn't determine for the Labour Party. The Labour Party is run by a constitution and by rules and regulations. You remember when he started this process of his kangaroo tribunal, Sean, created to carry out one man's wishes without any due process, and I took them to court. I said it could not be right. You know, why would he and his faithful warriors join to deny me any fair process, but simply want to move to expel me from a Labour Party that I was in before Gaston Brown? I brought him into the Labour Party. I mean, Sean, I'm sure you remember. In fact, I personally, along with Comrade James Fuller, personally recruited Prime Minister Gaston Brown to join the Labour Party back in 1998. And, you know, I wanted to say to the people of Antigua and Barbuda and all of the labour rights, I'm also taking these steps to safeguard the party's constitution and the right of all members to ensure that other colleagues do not suffer the same fate. It's public knowledge that several other members of Parliament are purportedly on the chopping block, like Michael Brown and Colin James and Londell Benjamin. Gaston Brown cannot determine who will and will not run on the party's ticket. Sean, you have been a member of the Labour Party, your grandfather, your uncle Lester Bird. That power rests with the respective branches and ultimately with the electorate. Gaston Brown cannot then decide he no longer wants me to be the representative of St. Peter's after I won overwhelmingly for 4 elections. So I will not stand by and allow his underhanded and illegal acts trying to undo the decision of the electorate of St. Peter to elect me again as the parliamentary representative. I will not do it. I will not.
Well, but the fact is, Asot, they also had a meeting. I'm glad you brought that out. They also had a meeting on Friday. According to what Mr. Brown was saying on his radio station, and according to the clips that I see flying all over the place, is that he's made it absolutely clear that, and he spoke for what they're telling me an hour and a half, and then dismissed the meeting because your presence was there. Am I correct?
That is correct. And in fact, you know, when we arrived there, he did not allow any of our elected, the legal elected branch of St. Peter's, like Barbara Carr and so forth, to come into. The executive master stood up there, and he said, they cannot come in. So they went in the car park and they sat down. They had other persons that in this purportedly illegal branch that Rawdon Turner and the General Secretary had in election, which the court said that is totally illegal, the interim injunction that was granted. They allowed them into the room. I went, John, I sat down. I sat at the back of the room with Comrade Lennox Weston. I did not say a word. The man berated me for over 1.5 hours. What he did not say about me, that I'm corrupt, I'm the worst person to ever hold public office in this country, that I could never, ever run on his ticket. He didn't own the Labour Party. So he didn't know I was corrupt when he wanted all my family money and my monies prior to him winning the leadership against Comrade Lester Bird, when I went up against my surrogate father, because at that time I thought that Lester was ailing and Antigua wanted a newer, fresher legs, a new face to represent the Labour Party. He didn't know I was corrupt. He didn't know I was corrupt after I was detained in England for an interview with this thing with Peter Verdi, and then still reappointed me into his government in 2018 when he milked me again after I sold my land at Lorry Bay. And I got those monies and put them back into the Labour Party. He didn't know I was corrupt. He didn't know I was corrupt when I was helping him to build his mall out of Jennings and invested $100,000 each dollars that I never got back. He didn't know I was corrupt when my mother loaned him a loan. I would not even say the amount to buy all the refrigeration, air conditioning, and all that for his mall out there. He didn't know I was corrupt when I bought 2 generators and one is still at Painters at his housing development and one's at the Labour Party headquarters. He didn't know I was corrupt. When all of the TV equipment at Carib Times, brand new TV equipment, Sean Bird. I want the people of Antigua to understand this, that I bought it. Gaston Mom encouraged me to buy it for over $250,000 US. And when I was on my sick, undying bed at St. Mary's Hospital in Mayo Clinic in Rochester, Minnesota, he sent me to collect them. He told me I'd be paid from the Treasury, and up to this day I've not been paid. And another company by the name of Cove Head Television billed the Treasury and got paid. I mean, come on. The guy accused me of every single thing. And it was not enough just on Friday, at Executive. I did not say a word, Sean. Then he went on his radio station with all kind of innuendos, trying to demonize me on Saturday, talking about IHI, talking about galvanized $3.5 million, talking about the Palm Sunday shooting. Like if I would have arranged, he left in the public's opinion that it's me who was responsible for the shooting of my own first cousin, Michelle Aplak, in High Street Building, Asot Arcade, where my sister, Asot Michael, was kidnapped by two Jamaican guys. Remember the Palm Sunday massacre?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Then Sean, he went further and spoke about the shooting at Israel, where they used to have Defense Force soldiers because your Uncle Lester used to come there every evening and spend most of his life down at Israel, and he had protection down there. And two soldiers, Fitzroy Robbins, he was stabbed just recently, I think 2 New Year's days ago at down in Point. But George Henry is still alive, the other soldier. They were playing around with the guns. Lester Bird was sitting in the gallery with Johnny Abuda and George Rahal from Amalgamated Security. And they shot themselves by just playing with the guns. I was inside with a Merrill Lynch broker. Lester Bird lifted up the soldier, Fitzroy Robbins, put him in a pickup, Dion Shaw pickup, and took him to Halberton Hospital and called Joey John in those days to operate him. And he is trying to slander my name by innuendo and leaving the public opinion that I did something wrong, that I shot the soldiers. What is wrong with this guy? Mm-hmm. I mean, I cannot believe that a prime minister of this country who's supposed to rise above petty politics, supposed to be a mature person, is cursing people every single Saturday on his radio station, on Facebook, on social media, attacking people's personalities, cursing young people, telling Megatron not to come back to APUA, intimidating nurses, intimidating, public servants. I told him in Parliament, do it with love. Show love, Mr. Prime Minister. Rise above that. You are the Prime Minister of everybody. ALP, UPP, black, white, red, whatever. But I'm so disappointed in this man that I had so much hope for when I really, really and truly won the convention against Comrade Lester Bird and made him political leader. I cannot believe that this is the Gaston Mount that I knew. They were so humble in those days, Sean.
Mm-hmm.
He berated me in Executive. I went because they invited me. The court order said they cannot hold Executive without me, so I attended. And all the man did for 90 minutes was barrage with a lot of lies and half-truths and all of this.
Mm-hmm.
It's not right that Gaston Monk can just by himself decide he no longer wants me to be the representative of St. Peter's. Absolutely not.
Mm-hmm. Now, with that being said, that's a lot of stuff that you've put out there, Asot, and the fact is that now that it was dismissed right after the Prime Minister had said what he had to say?
Well, as soon as he finished speaking, Sean, he hung his hand on the table and he said, meeting closed.
Mm-hmm.
So nobody had any chance to ask any questions. No comrade had any chance to weigh in, to say anything. Absolutely nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And Sean, we also remember, there are processes within the anti-embarrass Labour Party that allows us to address the issue of candidates.
Mm-hmm.
Wherever the party's leadership is holding the organization to ransom. That's what he's doing, Sean, in intimidation. We can't intimidate Asot Michael. Mm-hmm. These processes cannot work. They require Gaston Brown's leader to convene a caucus to raise the issue and allow for free debate within the party. Not to shut down the meeting like how we did last Friday. And this will allow him the Piata Caucus, myself, and any other interested comrades to weigh in and be given an opportunity to respond appropriately.
Mm-hmm.
But you know something, Sean?
Mm-hmm.
Even this, the emperor denies. As he stands in his new clothes, I want the people of Antigua to understand. So who amongst us in this country will hold Gaston Brown to account? Who amongst us will put the welfare of the party above the personal excesses of one man, of our own personal interests?
Mm-hmm.
And who among us will speak out, Sean?
Mm-hmm.
Who will call a spade and a naked emperor a naked emperor? Well, I want to let Gaston Brown know this evening. Asot Michael will do so. He can't intimidate me, say, "You're ship me off to England, I must rot in a cell, he can extradite me."
Mm-hmm.
And I cannot expect anyone else to stand and be counted if I, myself, were to allow this personal and bizarre behavior to go unquestioned and challenged.